The second one, which I loved, was be true to you.
Mm.
I think this is something that is an idea that we really struggle with, because I see this meme, and I'm sure you both have seen it on like Instagram and TikTok and everywhere. And it's probably my favorite thing. And so it says, society says, colon, be yourself. And then society says, colon, no, not like that. Right? It's like we all live in this world where it's like, be yourself. And then when you be yourself, I was like, no, not like that.
Yeah.
Like, please don't be that version of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like this really interesting idea that we're constantly being told, be true to you. But then when you really see someone in all their authenticity and all their flaws and all their genuineness, we don't like it. We consider it ugly. When the truth is we all have that inside of us. Like we all are that. So how have you both got comfortable with looking at the parts of yourself that make you uncomfortable?
I don't want to live my life not accepting those things. So I've had times in my life where my flaws or my things that I don't maybe love about myself have really, they've given me anxiety, or they've made me feel badly about myself. When I especially during my high school years, I was like, do I not look good enough? Am I not this enough? Am I not that enough? And it's like, I'm either going to live like that, live insecure, concerned with, maybe more of the external things, or I'm going to be so filled up with who God created me to be, which is loved, valuable, accepted, just the way I am. And through doing that and accepting that and through being myself, I feel like I've been able to cultivate a life that is authentic to me. I have relationships that are real as a result of being myself, of being true to me. Because if we're not, the other path is not, it's not great. You're going to live constantly anxious. You're going to have surface relationships because you're hiding a part of who you are. And so I think that it takes courage to be vulnerable, but what's on the other side of that is total freedom and real connection and all the things that we really want in life.
I think what I have found to be the issue with this is social media. And I love social media. I have a really great relationship with it. I have the people that follow me on Instagram are so encouraging and so lovely. Yes, there's a couple here and there that are negative, but for the most part, it's a really beautiful community for me. But I have realized that I think it's really damaging in many ways because we're playing the comparison game. So it's like, yes, I'm going to be true to myself, but everybody is, holding this bag. And so I'm going to spend all my money to get this bag. So I have it in my social media because that's what everybody's doing. And I'm not sitting here to say, spend your money how you want. But I think that we've been wired to kind of chase this unattainable lifestyle that might not be within our means. And we're, like I wrote about in the book, being financially fit was really important for me and saving. And you kind of have to take that comparison and live your own life, because you're going to go into debt trying to keep up with the Joneses when that's not in your means. And so I think the comparison game in that way, I talk a lot about finances because I think it's not talked about, especially with younger women enough, the importance of saving. Yeah. And also with all these filters. I remember I wrote a specific chapter about this because it was very alarming. I'm 30 years old and I was using this supermodel filter, and I loved the way I loved my face. I was like, wow, she's gorgeous. And so I would look in the mirror and I would get kind of like, how I even went to the point where I took a screenshot of my face with the filter and a screenshot of my face regular, sent it to my friend that's a plastic surgeon and said, what do I need to do to look like this? Wow. And he responded with I don't even know now. It was a nose job, cheek fillers, some sort of taking out the fat in my cheek. And I was just like, this is so wild. I am a fully developed woman and I'm having this conversation right now. Imagine how damaging this is for somebody younger and insecure and figuring out who they are. And so I kind of made a point right then and there. I stopped using filters on Instagram because I was like, I don't want anybody to see me in a different way. And I also don't want to mess with my own head and look in the mirror and think, oh, I want to look in the mirror and see myself. Yeah. And so I made a really big point to just stop using the filters. And I put a challenge in the book for people to do the same for even just 24 hours, just to post without a filter. It's okay. And kind of get used to that, because I think the more you are accepting of yourself in every way, social media and not on social media, it just gives you a different sense of confidence, I think.
Yeah. Can you show me that filter afterwards?
It like makes your lips bigger. It makes your face. I'm like, I don't know what it's doing.
No, that I love that challenge, by the way. I think that challenge is awesome. I love the idea that it's obviously, if anyone wants to change the way they look or anything, I don't think anyone here is saying, I don't think anyone's saying you're not at all.
I get Botox. It's not like I'm not against any of it.
Totally. And
but I think that there's a fine line between, looking at yourself and just being sad on a regular basis and just.
And almost that distance that's created between when you start seeing yourself as someone else on a screen.
Right.
And then when you start seeing yourself as someone else in the mirror and that distance gets wider and wider and wider, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Right. And if I remember when we were in the monastery, this is really phenomenal. When we're in the monastery, there's no mirrors.
Whoa.
So you lose the idea of identity and how you look. Now you shave your hair and stuff, so you don't even have hair to look at or whatever. But the point is that I would catch myself looking at my reflection when I was like, if I was on the streets and I was walking past a store or a window, I would catch myself looking at my reflection because I was so used to that from before. And it was so interesting to me to not look in the mirror for like a big chunk of my life.
That
was just such a fascinating thing of like, you lose that sense of like, that's important and you actually have time to go inward.
That's wild, Jay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so hearing your idea in the same way of like, hey, don't use filters. You actually get more time to get to know yourself. You get more time to love yourself, appreciate yourself, and deal with the reality rather than a false reality that can really mislead you and mess you up with when you do look in the mirror and now you're disappointed with how you look.
And Facetune is wild. I mean, you can really do some wild things on that.
Yeah, you have to be really skilled to use those things.
Yeah, but it does. It does like morph.
I don't even try.
Just imagining.
Yeah. Like... No, I'm not. I'm terrible at that stuff. I'm like terrible at all that stuff. But no, I really love both your answers to that, and I love that challenge. And the book has more challenges in it.
Lots of challenges,
which I love. Which I love challenges because I think that they're the simple little habit tricks and hacks that we need in order to learn these very deep, profound lessons.